you better hold on to your honey, because you're in bear country. Welcome to the PC Nation Playbook, your go-to source for Pierce County sports and events. Join your hosts, Joey Lee, Andrew Cuneo, and Jeremy Gove from the Mike Birch Ford Showroom for the latest news, in-depth analysis, and exclusive interviews with coaches and players. Join the PC Nation. Go Bears!
The PC Nation Playbook is produced by Mike Birch Ford. You can watch and listen to our show on YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on those channels to help others discover the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Plan your hunting getaway and escape to experience the beauty of Mossy Pond. Our diverse property right here in Pierce County allows you to enjoy various types of hunts, including plantation-style quail, hog, pheasant, and flooded timber-style duck hunts, all within 24 hours. At the center of it all, experience scenic, rustic, beautiful, and inviting amenities like luxury lodging, our first-class pro shop, fine dining, and the perfect event space. Book now and see why Mossy Pond Lodge is Georgia's premier hunting paradise.
Get ready for massive savings. Invoice pricing is here. Looking to get into a brand new 2025 Ford? At Mike Birch Ford, you can order any 2025 model at invoice pricing. That's right. Pay what we pay and drive away with unbeatable value. Exclude specialty models like the Raptor. Stop the search and visit Mike Birch to lock in your 2025 order at invoice.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pierce County Nation Playbook. We had a little bit of a break with the holidays, but Joey, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back, and
we got a special guest today, Joey.
Yeah, and to have Jeremy on
the Governator.
This
That's
side
right,
of the
I'm
camera.
here.
That's right. Good. We're going to bring you on a lot more during spring sports,
That's
Jeremy.
right.
I just have that feeling. But we were able to get in Coach Heron for a much anticipated interview.
Yep. Get a little recap.
And but like you said, we had holidays, and then we had the winter storm hit. So
The snow apocalypse.
Snowmageddon, So Jeremy will be working on getting that out. But before we get to that interview, there's been a lot going on in Pierce County athletics. So
ton of shout outs to accolades being won. Just a bunch going on right now. The cheerleading team,
the Bear Dynasty.
Yeah,
anywhere you go in the state of Georgia, they may not know about anything else, but they know about the Pierce County competition cheer.
I was just about to say no offense, Coach Harry, but yeah, the Lady Bears, the cheerleading squad, they're statewide. It doesn't matter 1 through 7A or now 6A, but everybody knows who the Bears are, and Coach Mandy brought it home this year.
Yeah.
I think I was about to say, I think this is their 8th state championship. Coach Nimmer was the ringleader for the first 7, and Mandy's kind of taken off where where she left off. I know they had 2 years in a row where they came home with a runner-up trophy, and they might as well have not even gone for that. But they're back to their winning ways, and that's 20 region championships since 1993.
Yeah.
That's 8 state championships in the last 12 years, 12 or 13 years. I mean, that's
unbelievable run.
That's pretty well dominance right there.
Yeah. That's a testament to a lot of hard work put in by a lot of ladies and young ladies.
That's right. When I'm at the gym at the evening time, I look across the road and it's a lot of young girls, and they're at tumbling at from 5 on. And if you're going to cheer at Pierce County for the competition cheerleading squad, you better tumble nowadays, because those girls can do it.
Yeah, and I can tell you, if you wear the Pierce County P anywhere, like when I'm wearing my hat and I'm going out and about and we travel in other counties, I can't tell you how many times my wife and I have been stopped at dinner and said, "You guys from Pierce County?" and then they'll say something about the cheerleading team. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's a dynasty. It's amazing. So, great job, girls. That's amazing.
About to say there's something else. Kind of piggybacking off of that. You've got a ton coming up with spring sports. A little bit of going on right now, though. You've still got girls and boys basketball. Mm-hmm. Went Tuesday night, watched them play Appleton. They played good. The girls are improving, and the boys played good. I mean, they're athletic. They just got to put some complete games together, and kind of gel a little bit. I know it's late in the season, but I still think the boys are gonna make a playoff. So they'll get a chance. Once you get that, it's game by game, and we'll kind of go from there.
That's right.
I think Gove's going to talk to us a little bit about the wrestlers and what they got going on.
Yeah. Well, before I do that, remember baseball season. I mean, it's about to kick off. We're almost in full swing with that, so I'm excited about that. I love me some football, but baseball has my heart. So that's amazing.
Our very own Andrew Cuneo might be highly involved with that.
Yeah, we might have a surprise coming up with that.
We'll have to go check out Andrew as much as anything else.
That's right.
Looking forward to baseball season.
I was about to say baseball. Coming off the 18-12 season last year, got beat by Jeff Davis in the second round, but a young team. They lost Royer, who was a stud. It's hard to replace the kid that was 91, 92, 93 off the mound and could spot all three pitches pretty dang good. There was a reason scouts were watching them. But I think it'll be a more a staff effort on this point, this year where there's going to be a bunch of good pitchers and not just one great one with, supporting casts. And a lot of guys, they got a lot coming back. So it'll be an interesting year. Region's always tough. And I know just looking at the schedule, we have, Coffee County we got them to finish off the season if I look right. And they're, in the preseason, for all classifications, they were ranked like 6th preseason. So that's going to be a tough game. Wayne County is always tough. Jeff Davis, Appleton. And Tattnall and Vidalia usually play pretty good baseball. Lone County is another team that's always sneaky. And so they got a tough schedule, and but always baseball was it's a lot like like the football team. They expect to win, and they won a bunch. They've made it to the state championship a couple times. Haven't gotten over that threshold, but it's kind of gotten to where the Elite Eight is the norm. It's almost you don't want to say a failed season, but. Good group of kids. I think they're gonna put it together this year and maybe slip past that second round and get back to that third and fourth round. Maybe even slide into the state championship game. Who knows? But
that'd be awesome. A lot of enthusiam. It sounds like.
Yeah,
always. What I hear around.
Baseball's a big deal in Pierce County, so it'll always be. There's always a lot of hype about it. So
that's right.
We'll see.
And so bouncing into what we were going to talk about before, wrestling is entering its postseason now. I have this written down because I wanted to be sure that I got it right. The area tournament is this weekend, and then the top 4 wrestlers in each weight class will advance to the sectional tournament, which is next weekend.
And you're saying, we're recording this January the 30th, so you're saying that's the Thursday.
February 1st, yeah.
I don't know if you'll get this show out.
Yeah, February 1st is the area tournament, and then the weekend after that is the sectional tournament. And then from sectionals, the top 8 wrestlers in each weight class overall will then advance to the GHSA Traditional State Championship. Now, I didn't realize this until I was really going in and looking at the stats and digging in that there's actually 2 state championships in wrestling. So that was pretty interesting. I was going through there, getting myself acclimated and learning more about the sport.
Individual and team effort.
Exactly, yeah. And so this is the traditional state championship. This is where wrestlers compete as individuals. The dual state championship was a little bit earlier this month. And so pretty exciting to see that happening. They're entering into their postseason, so we'll see kind of how things wrap up and finish up and kind of go from there.
Joey, Ryan was telling us a little bit about it, and they're the defending, I want to say back-to-back weightlifting championship. You were telling me, what day was it again?
Yeah, March the 1st is the state championships at Heard County, and Ryan was.
He's pretty pumped up about it.
He was pumped about it and very focused on bringing home another state title in weightlifting. So,
and I know those boys
Yeah.
put in the work in the weight
100%.
room. So,
that's right. That's right.
He gets pumped up, and he'll be, he was as hyped to talk about the season as anybody, but he made it known that it's weightlifting season now, and it's an ongoing season, but you're about to get to see the fruits of your labor when you go up and you see how much stronger you are than the guy that's your weight. So I know they're pumped up, and I'm anxious to see if they bring a third one home.
Oh yeah, I think they will, and that's good stuff because it translates over to the football
That's right.
field.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
right. When you're lifting weights and you go out there on Friday night and you hit somebody in the mouth, they know it.
That's right.
And it's a big accomplishment. I wanted to throw in a little extra right here because my sister's the coach, so I was going to give her a little shout out too.
There you go.
I got boys and girls soccer coming up.
Okay.
Both made it to the third round last year. I don't know as much about what the boys have returning. I know they're really pretty dang good every year. But I know Abigail and them, they've got a bunch of girls coming back, and she's excited about the season. And maybe this is the year where we get past that third round threshold, and maybe make it to the Final Four.
That'd be a great thing to see.
Well, there's a lot of championship and playoff talks right here in just this little broadcast that we're doing. So everything's on the up and up at Pierce County.
Yeah,
That's right.
100%.
It'll be,
100%.
Spring's always a fun time, but
A busy time.
Yeah.
My goodness, that
Busy.
schedule is packed.
I was just about to say between baseball, soccer, girls and boys tennis is always strong as well.
Golf has always been traditionally
Well,
strong.
I was just about to say, I was wondering if Joe's going to throw a little plug in there because
we'll get some old
Big
golf
time,
on here
big
too.
time.
I was just about to say, speaking about cheerleading, before we won those state championships in football, it was cheerleading and golf.
That's right.
Is what everybody knew Pierce County for, and not just boys. It was boys and girls golf. So
we'll get Coach Morris on. We'll talk football and golf.
there you go.
That'd be exciting.
But lot to look forward to. A lot of good teams in Bearville. So can't wait. And as always,
Go Bears.
go Bears.
Yeah, we're excited to bring you the episode with Coach Heron, so stay tuned. But before we do that, too, I think Jeremy's you're going to post the
Oh yeah.
Yes.
the
upcoming
events calendar. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
So check out the events calendar and then stay tuned and watch the
That's right.
exciting interview with Ryan.
Yeah, an amazing interview.
The old head ball coach. So that'll be fun. And can't wait to watch the Bears this spring. So if anybody else got anything,
That's it. Love you, Pierce County. Go
love
Bears.
you. Go
Go Bears.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pierce County Nation Playbook. We've got a special guest today, the head ball coach himself, Ryan Heron. Coach, appreciate you being here with us today. Another magical season in Bearville. I know it didn't end maybe per se like you wanted to, but we're proud of them. Always appreciate everything you do for us. So just happy to have you here today and spend a little time with us.
Well, it's good to be here. I appreciate y'all doing this show. This is neat. I've had people, tell me about it and they've enjoyed it. So it's I think enjoyable for the people of Pierce County to watch it, and I think some people have seen on YouTube way further out than Pierce County. So it's I think it's a pretty neat deal.
That's right. Yep. Appreciate you being here, like you said, Coach. We're going to talk a lot about Bear football, of course, but before we get into that too much, I want to give you the chance to give a rebuttal to our athletic director, Rock Jernigan. I don't know if you caught the first episode, but he jabbed at you a little bit there for the North Alabama and Valdosta State game. Did have some compliments for you too, though, playing injured or whatever. But have you got a different version of that story, or?
Well, sometimes he sprinkles in the truth when he talks, and I appreciate that about him. He'll sprinkle in some truth. But we went down there in '96. I think it was either the opening kickoff or the second kickoff that I ran down on, and I got cross blocked right on the humerus and just fractured my humerus right here. And so my arm was dead. You take that away, we win the game. but
there we go.
But the bad thing is, though, our other safety was also hurt. He was hurt going into the game, and then I got hurt on the opening kickoff. And of course, they played a great game. It was a great game. It was one of the funnest games I ever played in college. They had Sean Penner was a receiver. Sean, he was a real good receiver. They had the quarterback from Pierce.
Yep.
They had a good team, and I think North Alabama had beaten them probably since Moby Dick was a menace. So it was probably good for them to finally get a win. You know what I mean?
Watch out now. That's Cuneo's alma mater there.
Yeah, I know there's a little animosity between those two. So that's them and. Well, back when I was there, it was Delta State was still, they were a big rivalry, but North Alabama, West Georgia were the two that were really got Valdosta up a little bit.
Right. Well, there was probably never any doubt that you were going to be a head coach in football. Growing up in the home that you did, we talked about it on here, being your dad's a legendary guy in multiple states in high school football. Having, five? Is it five?
Yeah.
Championships he won, 5 championships, and so you want to talk about that a little bit and just talk about coming up in the legendary coach's home.
Well, I was beyond blessed with 2 great Christian parents that taught me the fear of God at a young age. We were brought up the right way. We always had the Bible or the belt. One of the two was around. My mother would carry the Bible. My dad would carry the belt. But sports, that was big to our family. My brother was a lot better athlete growing up than I was. He was really good in baseball, basketball, football. And I was good for my grade, but he was really good. And I was kind of a late bloomer. But my dad was. He's the best coach I've ever been around. But just everything he did was first class. The way he handled people, the way he handled kids, the way he handled his program. He was a deacon in the church. I never heard my dad cuss. I never saw him drink a beer, smoke a cigarette. He lived, a straight-laced life. And so he was a great role model to have. But as far as, the coaching part of it, I learned a lot from him, and I wanted to be like him. He was my mentor in coaching. He was also my mentor in life. So I wanted to be like him. I got into, of course, after high school, played college football, and then had a chance to go to Troy right out of college to coach the safeties at Troy. And he had just retired from Alabama and came to Georgia to Noonan High School up near Atlanta. And I just, I just wanted to go work with him, be with him, because I was probably the biggest, home baby we had of 4 kids. I was a mama's boy, so I kind of wanted to be near my parents and work for him. And so I went to work for him my first 2 years of coaching at Noonan High School, right out of college. And, that was great. I got to see how he really runs a program from the inside out and how he did things, how he handled people. So I got to learn a lot, doing that.
That's awesome. That's the man you're describing. That's big shoes to fill there. That's a great testimony. So we appreciate that. Into this season, we'll get on into that. We'll just kind of recap this past season. So coming off of a championship run, which we all appreciated and enjoyed very much, and I know you did probably more than us even. Losing guys like, Carson Sloan. Those are some
big shoes to fill there.
Those are some of the bigger shoes to fill in probably Pierce County football history, and a lot of other guys as well, not just him, but
Elijah Howard.
Yes, right. Jackson Williams,
you had a lot of guys on that offense and defensive line that were multiple year starters that were and I hate to say this because my offensive line buddies are going to be like, but they were kind of. It's not many teams where your O-line, D-line guys are your leaders of the team, and I felt like how Carson, and I'm sure how when he came to practice, he probably set the tone of how the day was going to go, and same with the game. There was a motor about Elijah Howard that the Joker was going to play basically every snap of the game, and probably wasn't going to ask to come out, and just had some dogs on that team.
Yeah. From the outside looking in, that's probably our biggest concerns is like, how do you replace these guys on both sides of the line where football games are won?
Well,
y'all did a great job.
Yeah, it was a super, super special group of kids. You talk about Carson Sloan, that he's the best two-way player I've ever seen. He didn't go to Georgia or Alabama, but I'm telling you, I've had guys that went to Georgia, went to LSU, went places that were not him. I got a guy that starts for the Tampa Bay Bucks right now, KJ Britt. KJ Britt wasn't as good as Carson Sloan. So Carson was an unbelievable player. If you watched this, you saw that. Elijah Howard, not only could he come off the edge and get a big sack when we needed to, or spill blocks, or cause problems for the offense, he also played left tackle.
Yeah.
And he latched on to his blocks. He wasn't a big kid, but strong hands, long arms. Then you got guys like Bryson Hutchinson, Jackson Williams, Wade. We call him Wade DiBiase. You had Campbell Strickland was junior, but anyway, you had guys who were high character kids who cared about their teammates, who were going to push each other, who held other people to a high standard, that worked hard every day in the weight room. These guys never took a day off. Okay, they were special. We didn't know. You don't know how special they are as far as how far you're going to go,
right?
But you knew they were special anyway. Whether we'd have won 11 games that year or would have won game 15, it was a special bunch of guys. The 2020 team was a lot better. They had a lot more players, both sides of the ball. They had bigger kids.
Good-looking group, too.
Yeah, but the 23 team, nobody expected it.
I'll be the first to say that year, I remember Hudson was sitting in the living room with me, and I said, how do you feel about the year? Well, I think we got a pretty good shot, blah, blah, and I'm sitting there going like, I was sitting there, and I'm as big a Bear fan as they come, but I'm also a realist, or I thought I was, and I sat there and I said, well, if this team gets to the third round right here, I said it's going to be a good year, and I remember. And I've never felt this way after a loss, but I remember, and I've probably said this on this show probably 2 or 3 times, but that Appleton County game that year, I remember the whole week I came in and everybody, buddies from over there, here, were like, this is the best team in the state, blah, blah. And we whooped up on them the whole night. Yeah. Should have won that game, didn't, but I walked away and I looked, my dad called him on my way to the house, and I said, if that's the best team in AA, I hope we get to play them again because they won't beat us twice. And we didn't get a chance to play them that year, but that group just got better and better and better every week. That's a hats off to the coaches and the kids that bought into something. And it was that was a magical season.
Place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Here in Pierce County, we take pride in our team, our town, and our hometown hardware store. Farmers and builders. Whether you need tools, paint, plumbing supplies, or just some expert advice, we've got you covered. No need for a long drive. We're right here, ready to help. At Farmers and Builders, we're more than a store, we're your neighbors. Proud to support Pierce County Bears athletics and our community. Stop by and see us today. Farmers and Builders, your hometown hardware store.
Bennett and Johnson Insurance is an independent agency with the customer in mind. We have relationships with dozens of insurance companies and are dedicated to finding the right coverage with the best company at the best price for you. Contact Bennett and Johnson for all of your insurance needs. Go Bears!
You know, that year, that game, you know, after the game, when you see how much kids are hurting after a game when they've put a lot into it. Kids are hurting after a game when it means a lot to them. You know, I saw after that game, you know, on the field, I saw we had something special. Because, you know, it wasn't like Game 5 that year.
That's what I was about to say. It was weird. It wasn't our normal.
So, besides this arrival, you know, the kids were hurting. I've been a part of a lot of games where you get beaten, the kids, they're just walking back to the locker room ready to get on the bus or ready to go home, whatever. Well, these kids were hurting, okay, and that's the difference.
That's right.
So that I knew right then we had something special. I didn't know right then we were going to win Game 15,
right? But
I knew we had something special. And as a coach, you can't ask for anything more than kids who work hard, high character, going to give you everything they've got. You know, and those kids, I mean, when the championship game was over, you had Wade who was playing every snap both ways. Carson was playing every snap. Elijah was playing every snap. I mean, you had guys who, Caden ran it 53 times. I mean, you had guys who literally gave everything they had. There was nothing else to give. I mean, we're taking a picture after the game, and kids are pale. They're spent. There's nothing left in them. There's no gas in the tank. You know, you can't even hardly celebrate like you want to because
you're drained.
They're dead. They gave everything, you know, and that was a special group. You know, the coaches did a great job. I mean, just you know, I can't say enough about it. You know, and I always say this, especially being at a place like Pierce. You know, I just feel like I drink from a well I did not dig. Because I didn't cause Carson Sloan to be that tough, have that kind of heart, you know, that kind of character. Wade, you know, Bryson, Hudson. I mean, I can sit here and name all these guys. You know, Cole at center. You know, all these guys were overachievers. You know, you may have an overachiever here and there. We had a team full of overachievers, and how in the world a whole team full of overachievers wins a state championship is nothing but a blessing from above. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Well, those type kids have been around. It takes leadership from the coaching staff and being put in the right spot, having that accountability to be at workouts in the morning time, and not just going through the motions. I haven't actually sat there and watched y'all work out, but I've listened to Hudson tell me enough where he's like there ain't no taking the day off, or he said you either come in full speed or you're going to get chewed out and left behind, and they're probably just going to tell you to go home and don't come back type deal. And I said, you know, that's a blessing, sir. I said, because not all of us got that to where, you know, if it was a Tuesday and we didn't feel real good that day and I might do some bench press today, or I might do the staff that y'all got up there now, y'all don't allow that, and it kind of instills that mentality into them where, hey, either I overachieve or I might not get to play type deal. So the well was dug, but y'all keep it bottomed out for sure.
Well, you got to have special kids too.
That's right.
To do what we do. Like nobody, I'm just telling you, nobody is going to work core, do a dynamic warm up, do a weight workout every day, year round. I mean, there's strength coaches. They're not going to do that every day. They just the coaches are going to take days off.
That's right.
In most places, the kids are going to take days off. We don't do that here.
And there's the difference.
We don't. There's no. A kid doesn't just not feel like working out. If he comes in and just doesn't feel like working out for whatever reason, he won't be here tomorrow.
Well, and that's and the Kirby Smarts, the Nick Sabans, Coach Ryan Herrings. You don't play for those guys if you don't come ready every single day. Because when the head coach is bringing the energy, it trickles down to everybody. And I think that's definitely a testament to you and your staff, because there are no days off. There are no practices off. I've just heard too much from kids that they've told me, they're like, oh, well, it's balls to the wall every day, or he's going to tell you to go get ready for basketball if you don't want to go play, or if you just want to go play baseball, that's fine, but we're going to work every single day here, and that's why Pierce County fans have gotten to that mindset now to where, well, we didn't win a state championship this year. It was a down year, but when the third round is a down year, something has changed mentally in the community.
It's a way different mentality.
When I was coming through, Charlton County was in their heyday, and I talked to a bunch of those guys. They never thought it was going to end over there. And Coach McWhorter moved on, retired, and they found out that you can't just plug and play a guy in there, and because they still got athletes. Right. And this is not a knock on that staff over there at all. I'm not that's not what that was meant to be. But that isn't the same Charlton County that I played against. There's not 8 D1 guys just walking around, and they don't expect to win every single game that came out there. When I was there, Charlton County expected to win, and not just win, they expected to beat your eyes in. Right. And we've gotten around here to where, we beat a Brantley County this year by 30, and I hear people at the watering hole the next morning, I just don't know if these boys got it this year. And I'm sitting there going, we just beat their eyes in last night, and y'all are talking
what
about
is their Super Bowl? They're going to bring the best they got every year.
I just remember that game, and I sat there, I was like, at the end of the night, we had beat their eyes in, and I had people telling me, I just don't know if this is the same team that we thought it was going to be. And I'm like, what, do y'all want us to win by 50? Like, what?
There's so much that goes on around our program, that nobody sees, but it's the way the kids have to work and do work every day. There's one guy that works harder than me. There's one guy, that's Jimmy Lyden. Jimmy Lyden works year round for our program. People don't know how much money it costs these days to run a program. Uniforms, that's $60,000. I mean, that's not because we're picking
top of the line.
That's $60,000. Okay, so that money's got to be raised. Well, I'm not the one out there raising it, But if I was at Brantley County or something, I'd probably have to go out and try to raise it. Well, that's stuff like Jimmy does. I don't have to waste my time doing. I'm not having to come down here and try to solicit money and stuff. Jimmy does all that. The feeding the kids, Jimmy and Bear Moms, they do all that. I don't have to do any of that. So, Jimmy's got it set up where I mostly get to coach football and work kids in the weight room. And I don't have to do all the other stuff that takes time away from coaches, because I talk to other coaches and I've got a lot of friends in Alabama, and I hear about these headaches and how they got to raise money and what they're having to do to raise money, and they're wearing themselves out. Yeah. Well, that's where I'm blessed. Jimmy takes care of all that for me, and of course the people in the community are giving. Yeah. I mean that's what it's going to take and continue to take, and as long as we got a guy like Jimmy doing all that, I can spend a lot more time with football, with strength, and speed and stuff, and so there's just a lot of things that go on. The superintendent, when I really need something, I don't bother her hardly ever. But when I do need something, I'll go see her, and she's open arms. She may not know if it's the best thing to do, but she really hadn't told me no yet. We have a principal who runs a tight school. I love that. Some people say, well, he's nitpicky about this, that, and the other. Well, you can either be nitpicky about these things, or you can be like Bacon County. You can be,
there's a real fine line right there.
Put your school in Alma and see what the difference is between some of these counties and us. But none of us are perfect.
That's right.
I'm not perfect. The principal and superintendent, Jimmy. Nobody's perfect. We don't claim to be perfect, but we've got a real good thing going.
Yeah,
and
everybody's working together.
And the people care about the kids. Another thing about this community is like Miss Marilyn. How old is Miss Marilyn?
85.
She's 85 years old. And she's coming to games. She's poured into these kids at church. I think there's a guy in Patterson, I can't think of Tommy, whatever. Every game we go to on the road, whether it's 4 hours or 1 hour, he's always in the stands like at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You've got senior citizens who are supporting the football program.
And they remember some of those dark days where we were 1-9 and, you'd look around, it was more like a funeral than it was a football field, and you'd sit there and it's not unnoticed, I promise, Coach. There's a lot of people that realize that it is a community effort. There are a lot of unspoken heroes. Jimmy Lyden is a gem. He does a ton, and a lot of people realize it. He doesn't like to be recognized.
Right. No, he won't let you.
But the Hugh Thompsons, the Cliff Knowltons, those guys they're pouring back into this team, and it helps when your administration is 100% behind you. Mr. Murray is jam up. Miss Dara is she's as easy to work with, I've heard, as it gets. So when you have everything rolling like that, it does make it easier. But I've also rode by that school on a Sunday, and there's 15 trucks out there, and y'all are watching film on that Saturday and Sunday. Not Saturday, y'all take Saturday off, right?
Yeah, the coaches have Saturday off.
Okay. Sunday, though, I've rode by many a times, and I know what y'all are doing up there. So you can ride around a lot of these areas, and their coaches won't be there on Sunday watching game film and breaking stuff down so that when they walk in, the kids have a packet, and they say, this is what we did wrong, and this is what we're going to game plan for this week. So
my inside sources tell me that when Coach Heron is on vacation, usually during July the 4th at the beach, that you can normally find him up watching film. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I usually got a memo pad with me.
He's working.
I'll go out there. I'll take her something out there if she needs it. I'll take her.
Working on scheme the rest of the time.
But I'm usually going to be in a room trying not to get skin cancer.
Talking about scheme, I want to talk a little bit before we do recap the season about the offensive scheme, which is interesting and fascinating to me. And with me sitting on the opposing side at home games up there next to the band, I get to hear it from the other crowd, the other fans that come. They're just amazed by the way that we play football and the inability of our opponents to be able to stop that. Where did you come up with the offense? And maybe it's just because of the personnel that we have. When you got a kid like Caden McGath that you run it 53 times, the quarterback's running 53 times in the state championship game. I don't know. I'm sure that plays into it, but where did that scheme come from?
Well, that's my only claim to fame. I don't claim it, but that's my only claim to fame, though, is I came up with that offense. Nobody's ever ran it as an offense. What happened was in 2000, the year before I came here, we had a pretty good team, but our quarterback had moved away. A guy that went 10-1, 12-1. Then he moved his senior year. His family moved, and then we had to play a sophomore that year. And we were beating most everybody, but we were in a region with Bo Nix and people like that. And Bo Nix is the best quarterback. I've never seen one in high school that even compared to him. I coached against DJ Shockley and some other guys, and nobody compares to him. But we had to find a way to stay in the games with these guys that could go score. So we had to keep the ball away from them. We didn't really have a quarterback. Our quarterback wasn't ready that year to just get in the spread. We tried in a few games, and it'd be 7 at half, and we just couldn't move the ball like we needed to. So we did have some too tight I formation in, And that's when we could move the ball, running toss, running some stuff. And I just got to draw one night, and I said, we're taking the ball and we're tossing it to a good running back. Well, why don't we just snap it to the good running back and add a blocker?
Yeah.
And anytime you can do anything with two tight ends, it stresses any defense. And so, two tight ends. We got another hat for blocking. We can X and O anything. Now, if you got a guy that just can take us and whip us up front, it doesn't matter what offense we're running.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the guy's better. But this one gives us a chance against anybody we're playing. We really didn't go to it hardcore until late in the year in 2020.
Right.
Because if you're going to be in spread and you want to go win it all in a spread offense, you're going to have a really good quarterback. And nowadays, he's got to be mobile and have an arm. He's got to be dual threat. You show me somebody now who wins that doesn't have a dual threat quarterback that wins big.
That's right.
So you got to have a dual threat quarterback. You got to have at least 3 receivers. 2 makes it tough, but you got to have 3 guys. People can bracket 2, they can double one and lean to the other. They can get help, but if you got to have 3 receivers. If you're going to beat, like a Carver Columbus, you're going to beat Apple, and you're going to beat some of these, real good teams. You're going to have 3 receivers. You know what I mean? You're going to have to, or you're going to have 2 that are very, very special, and you got to be able to run the ball. So this stuff just gives you a chance, and we can, we throw to 5 different guys. Everybody thinks we're 3 yards in the cloud dust. We throw to 5 different. We throw to a tight end, a sniffer, a tight end, a receiver. So we throw the ball to 5 different people. We've not without playing kids starters in most games in the second half. We're going to have about 2,000 yards passing every year.
Right.
Okay, that's generally not playing guys in the last few years. We don't play people in the second half. We're not trying. We're trying not to score.
We've
Charlton
did back in the day.
We've got the scoring record at Pierce County in a season, and that's trying not to score. Right. About 60% of your games you're not scoring.
Taking knees as they're running to the end zone.
To the average fan, everybody wants you to get in the spread.
Right.
And boy, if you got Stetson Bennett,
it's fun.
It'd be hard to get me out of the spread with Stetson Bennett. But you're not going to have Stetson Bennett every year.
No.
Nobody is.
He hadn't popped back up at Pierce County, and he probably never will unless he has a kid.
That's an NFL player.
Yes.
That's a 2-time national championship game MVP. Okay, those guys, they don't just walk through the halls every week.
Right.
This offense takes a lot of pressure off a quarterback. He doesn't have to win a game with his arm. He doesn't have to win it with his legs. If he's got legs, that's great. But if he can do a little bit of both, you don't have to have a D1 quarterback. All right. Another thing is here, we're going to have kids who care about the team. We're going to have kids who are selfless, who are not worried about me. They're worried about we. So you can take a guy like Wade DiBiase, who's a linebacker.
Right.
Well, you can put him in sniffer. He's doing the exact same thing. He's fitting through linemen. On defense, he's fitting through to take on a block or go make a tackle. What sniffer's a little bit easier. He's just fit through the line and go hit a linebacker.
He gets to do what he likes to do.
You just go hit. And when you got kids who aren't scared to hit, there was a school in Birmingham for years, a guy for 40 years. I think he's all-time winningest coach in Alabama, but he ran 2 tight eye. He ran tall sweep, a little bit of fullback dive, trap, whatever. But he won like 350 games running 2 tight eye, just running toss, lead, trap, whatever. And a lot of people would always ask him, how do you find a fullback every year that can go block, that will go block? And, people always say, well, I can't find kids that want to go block. Well, Pierce County is a different place. You can't run this offense everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
people have tried. That's what we say. People are trying.
It's amazing how many people want to come go over it. And, we're a closed book. we don't give away secrets. You can have all our film, but your rival has put it in now.
Right.
I've seen Ware run it in some games. McIntosh has, they're running it. I mean, people are running it.
Trying to run it.
But there's a lot of things X and O Y's that we don't have time to talk about. But first off, anytime you can play with two tight ends, you stress the defense. I don't care how good they are. But bottom line is, we've got the type of kids here who will do whatever it takes to win. You know what I mean? We've got a lot of Marines, and that's how you win battles.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you got to win battles if you're going to win wars.
That's right. Well, we so to finally get into this season, so we come off the state championship. I don't even remember who we opened with in a scrimmage, but the scrimmages.
We did Savannah School.
We're in the first scrimmage, really big and doing different things, and then we go down to Brunswick, and I'm amazed at how many, which is the norm for Pierce County fans, that we carry over there on a stormy Friday night, against Glen Academy, a much bigger school, and to handle them like we did kind of set the hopes high. In my mind, for the season. I thought we played really well and saw some things that night. And then that carried over into the season opener. Well, we had no idea as fans what to expect because we don't know anything about Coosa, And they come down here.
They had a good program.
Right, I knew they had a good program.
Won a lot of games.
Right, won a lot of games. Made it to the state championship the prior year.
Previous year, yeah.
And they're bringing back their quarterback, their star linebacker, that sort of thing. Coaches' kids, similar to us.
They were one of the prettiest teams.
I was just about to say,
that was one of the prettiest teams we saw all year.
Yeah,
they came on the field. I said, "Oh boy."
Yeah, and then they run right down the field and punch us right in the mouth to start with, and we're all like, we're in for it tonight, and then we completely.
And then in Ryan Herring fashion, we made adjustments, and they didn't get past the 50 again the rest of the night.
We just had to tighten our chin straps up just a little bit.
Well, they got tightened because I don't know if they had 50 more yards the rest of the night. It felt like.
Yeah, I think they ended up with 20 yards rushing.
I was just about to say, it ended up being a beatdown, and they had a big tight end slash. He might have been the linebacker too. But he was going somewhere and. By the third quarter, he didn't want to play anymore. You remember he was about a true 6'4".
He was a big,
maybe more 6'4". He signed with somebody, but anyway. But I think it was third quarter. They threw a drag, crossing route to him, and Jones Herring
lit him up,
hit him, and he took the fight out of that kid.
He didn't want to play.
Hey,
that was
he took the fight. That's a big kid. Right. Jones is 5'7", whatever.
Jones is 5'10".
But Jones.
Jones
is a football player. Jones is a tough kid. Jones has come up in a home with a mother and daddy who's had an expectation for him
with a Bible and a belt
since he's had a Bible and a belt. Jones
a lot of belts.
Is all around athlete. Weight room though, he's if you could see him with a shirt off, you wouldn't think he's a teenage boy. I mean, he's been a part of back-to-back state weightlifting championships, and hopefully we're going to win another one here at March 1st. But Jones is different.
His legs transformed by his 10th grade year. That joker got big.
But he's different. If you tell Jones run through that wall, he's going to give it a shot. And if you get on to Jones, you correct him. He may not like it, but he's going to take correction. That's the thing about kids, especially in our society today, is a lot of kids can't handle correction. A lot of them don't have dads in the home, so they've never been corrected. So a lot of times when we get kids in 9th grade and all of a sudden you raise your voice at them, some of them will start crying. They don't know how to handle it. We got a lot of kids here, though, that do have a dad in the home, so that makes our job easier.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jones, that hit, I remember that hit vividly, too, though. It's funny that that's the play that you brought up. I remember that, and that kid, he did not want to be on that field anymore after that.
Yeah. After that first drive, I don't think they blocked us all night. I don't know what y'all changed up schematically, but we played behind their line all night when they had the ball. And then we roll over Brantley County the next week, like you said, Andrew, and then we got the grumblings. We're not that good.
Well, the Brantley game was a sloppy game. Defensively, they put in a bunch of stuff which was smart on their part. They put a bunch of stuff in
and had a good little athlete at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean they did a good job against us, and we wasn't. We had some new guys on the D line, and we were running around with our heads cut off. But that game helped us be able to show that on film on Sunday. Try to teach kids why we do what we do, and this is why you got to be where you got to be, and we can't just freelance and run upfield. And so that game really helped us.
Awesome. Shut out Wayne the next week. I don't remember the last time that Wayne County scored. I don't know if they've ever scored on you. Have they ever scored?
We've played them 3 times. They haven't scored yet.
Yeah.
I like the way that trend's going.
Keep it rolling against New Hampstead. We're expecting to see this great quarterback that night,
Man,
and then look out there
at
at the middle or before the kickoff, and the guy's in his sweatpants, and we're like,
Yeah,
man.
I really wanted to see him play to see how we are on the back end because, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but going into the first scrimmage was by far the best we've looked on the back end. You got Chance, he's over 6 foot. Josh 6 foot. Nigel 6'1", 6'2". Joe 6'1", 6'2".
And everybody could run.
And everybody can run. And so that game is going to be a game we're going to see how we stack up on the back end. But the craziest thing is we never could keep the starting lineup the whole season. Ja breaks his shin bone in the first scrimmage, and then Chance ends up, I can't remember when Chance, the Wayne game, I think Chance springs his ankle.
And it lingered. I felt like it lingered.
But McKendry against Brantley caught a long pass. He got a bad high ankle sprain. And then later on in the season, about mid-season, right around crisp game, Nigel comes up he starts having a hip issue. Can't brake, can't get out of his brakes. It's hurting. He plays for a while through it, but if you really watch film, there's times where he can't turn, he can't accelerate, and we just couldn't stay healthy on the back end, and that would end up being our demise. A lot of people don't know that, but that was our demise. We end up having those guys wasn't out there. Bottom line, that hurt us.
We had to platoon a couple of guys in that last game, and that I have a feeling we'll be ready eventually, but they're young now, and it wasn't the same as Nigel being out there healthy, full speed.
But anyway, we were really looking forward to playing that quarterback, and thought we had a great game plan. And also he's not out there. We went ahead and stuck with the game plan we had in, and it worked
pretty good.
It worked great. We just said, hey, he's not going to sit back there, on a platform and throw to people, because he would. He was really, really good.
Yeah, I asked you that morning at the game day breakfast, are we changing up our scheme for this guy? And you said that. You're like, no, we're not going to let anybody just sit back there.
No, we're going to go
after
him. We're going to go try to affect the quarterback one way or another. I've coached in games where we want to play coverage and make them beat you throwing, and what they eventually do, they beat you throwing.
Yeah.
But what high school quarterbacks don't like is getting hit in the face or thinking they're going to get hit in the face. You get them worried about the rush, the pressure. They're just not
start
as
making
good.
bad decisions.
They're not as good.
Start looking at our feet a little bit more than.
Who's going to fall into them, But anyway, that was a great game. Both sides of the ball. That was a great game.
They played good that night.
It was.
Pierce Timber Company is proud to sponsor the PC Nation Playbook and our Pierce County Bears. We are a full-service timber company, from purchasing to harvesting to reforestation. Pierce Timber is your resource for all of your timber needs.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
And then the famous game with Brooks County the next week.
We had some big hits too.
I didn't know that Garrett had the leg to get it there, but kick a 47-yarder to win it.
Well, that's the thing about Garrett.
We'll always remember.
One day he may kick a 47-yarder in practice, and it's not even a hard kick. But the next day he may miss an extra point.
Yeah.
If we can get him steady, he'll be as good as anybody in the state. But it's with kickers, it's a mental game.
I was just about to say,
we can sit here and talk about it all you want to, but
right.
with kickers, it's a mental game. And I've never been a kicker's best friend. I've just tried to mentor them.
That's all you can do, Coach.
Oh. The game with Vidalia, that gets postponed for Hurricane Helene. So then it's, I guess it was Cook County the next time we were in action.
Yeah,
Here at home, played a really good game there.
That was a great night.
I expected a much closer game, and we thumped them pretty good by the average score that we look for every week, 42-7. And then to go over to Crisp, and I know Andrew especially wanted us to go there and put it on them. And,
I just don't like that place. The last time I went over there, it was ugly, so it was nice to whoop up on them pretty good.
Yeah, come out the gate with Joe returning it, turning the opening kickoff, and
that was a great game. That was a great game, both sides, special teams, all three phases.
All three phases that night.
That was a great game. Joe that night had one of the best games for a defensive back I've ever seen.
Yeah,
he played had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and but like the way you feel about Crisp, I feel worse than you do. I just don't want to say it on air. I'd rather just keep it right here.
Well, that's why I'm getting paid the big bucks to
But let's just say, that's probably not. That's not Jerusalem. That's not going to be where there's going to be a millennial kingdom reign. I can promise you.
No, it was. I told Joey, and I've had this story too, where I told him the last time I was over there, the best thing that happened to me that night is on the walk back to my vehicle, I found $10 on the sidewalk, and I said it was a sign that I needed to take that $10 and go home. No.
So we rolled over them. Tattnall County, not much to say about that. They didn't have a lot, to
thank y'all for landing.
Yes, and then our rival Appleton County.
Don't like them a whole lot either.
Yeah, we don't like them.
That was a.
It's always frustrating.
That ended up being a weird night.
It was a weird night.
It was the first time. This is my 6th year here. It's the first time in 6 years I thought we were going to win the game.
I did too.
I thought we were going to win the game. Usually I'm saying we got to do this, this, and this to have a chance to win. If we do that, then we'll win. But these things, we got to do this. This year, I thought we were going to win the game, and that's a mistake on my part. I never had that. If we're playing, it doesn't matter if we're playing Brantley. I don't ever have I think we're going to win the game. I think we got to do this to win. Well, I thought we were going to win the game. I thought we had a good game plan, both sides of the ball. Things just did not go our way. Right. Of course, you had some crazy officiating issues, but that's just part of it in high school football. But we had.
It was weird. It was a weird night.
We had people wide open. We didn't hit them. And you got to hit people when they're wide open. Well, so that was one of the few times ever Caden was off. Defensively, we just certain things didn't pan out the way they should have. I think everybody got to see a little bit of a healthy Javion. Generally we don't have guys that are faster than Applin's kids, and you saw a couple of times. He's got a 5th gear.
Yes, sir.
But then the last time he ran the ball, he got an ankle sprain. So then he got over a dislocated shoulder, the worst I've ever seen in that Coosa game. Finally, it got over that. It was staying in. We got him a brace. And then he looks great in the Appleton game. Guy falls on the side of him right towards the end of the game. His ankle hurts, and then we lose him for basically the rest of the season. But things didn't go our way, and I told I have a small group every Thursday morning, but I told them I think the next Thursday, a lot of this was my fault. I went into this thing with the wrong mindset. I always have a mindset that we got to do all this, and this to have a chance to win. If we do this, we'll win. Well, I went into that game for whatever reason, thinking we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
We're going to drive over there to Appleton, and we're going to beat them. I just felt like we were going to beat them.
I did too.
I just felt like we were going to beat them.
I thought we were better than them this year.
The previous years, like a lot of people don't remember, but 2020, that's one of the biggest miracles I've ever been a part of. Somehow winning that game. We scored off 3 trick plays basically for us. They were trick plays. That's how we scored. The next year it was 0-0 with 8 minutes left in the game. We ended up winning 20-0, but that game could have gone either way. And then the next year they beat us pretty good.
It kind of felt like the opposite this year, like 2020, where they were better than us, and they hit their plays this
Yeah.
year, like that little wheel route that they hit it. Well, they missed it 2 times, but they hit it for a touchdown right there. It was like what, 3rd and 15 or something like that. I mean, I was sitting there going like, well, they're probably going to run a little, try to run a little quick screen or something like that and punt the ball away, play field position, and lo and behold, the little run back slips out, and the quarterback tried to overthrow him. And Caden, I think even we had our little podcast that next morning, actually. I think we did it on Saturday, and I said, there's nobody that feels worse right now than him because he has played so good.
Oh, yeah. His whole
and
life.
he's been the guy. And I know he kicked himself over and over again. And it happens. Right. But he missed 3 that night that I know that he said, I could have made those throws in my sleep,
And sometimes when people are wide open,
it's harder. You sit there, you try.
One time he short armed it, one time he long armed it, but
when they're wide open,
there's nobody. He would take his hand and run it through a saw.
I know
he'd run his hand through a saw, to win that game.
Yeah.
So it's you don't question his heart, you don't question his toughness.
That's never. Yeah,
but another thing too, though, we're forgetting is we had 2 uncharacteristic penalties that killed 2 drives.
Yeah.
We
oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was our
That
first
were
drive.
It was our first drive.
Yeah, Katie ends up getting tackled on the 8-yard line, and Chance just goes and hits the guy in the back.
Yep.
That was totally didn't have anything to do with the play. It was behind the ball. We just made that kill. That's a drive killer. Then Colston hits a guy in the back. We're driving the other way. I guess it was second quarter, might have been third quarter, but we're driving, going to score. We're on about the 20. We're in the red zone, and he hits a guy in the back. And those guys, they won't. Maybe we had them so amped up, that they just want to go hit. But we made 2 mistakes that killed 2 scoring drives. We thought we should after the game. When you look at the film, we thought the game really should have been about 35-7. If we don't make mistakes, if we hit passes, we're looking at 35-7.
I left that game that night and said, we lost that game. I said, it feels like if we just made the plays that we normally make, that it's maybe. I might not have thought 35, but I was like, man, we beat them up and down the field, and there were a lot of holding calls thrown that night too. I mean, and not just on us. They were. It was just a weird night all the way around. Hate Appleton, want to beat them every time. I hate them more than anybody.
Second,
but they got our number that night, and
I'll tell you what it was. Usually, you learn more from losing than you do from winning, because if you win 35-0, how much self scouting are you going to do?
It's hard.
Or you win 49-0. How much self scouting are you going to do? Because everything you're doing is working. It seems like it is.
It's hard to tell a 17-year-old kid.
We learned a lot from that game. When you go back and look at film, but most of it was unforced errors. Or we didn't make a play here and there. But that was a poor job coaching on my part. A poor job. I mean, there's nobody to blame but me. It's a game we should have won, and we didn't. Bottom line. So that was a poor job on my part.
I hadn't asked you yet. Were you going to go for 2?
Oh yeah.
I was about to say there was never a doubt right there. I knew.
Even after all that, we got a chance at the end of that game, and we're driving down there, and it looks like we're going to score.
We had plenty of time to go score if we ran the ball every play, but we get a big game, holding call.
Yeah,
then we get another big game, holding call, and I can't remember. It was the first or second one. I'm like, we were looking down the iPad. We're like, there's no holding.
That's what I was about to say.
But you know what? Right. It is what it is, and they won the game.
The refs injected themselves on both sides way too much that game. I don't like, and it's easy to sit here and say, oh, well, it was the refs were pretty awful and I don't like to give Apple any credit, but they were pretty awful on both sides that night. To me, I sat there and they were tic-tac with fouls, and they threw 2, look, if the foul happens and it's blatant, fine, throw the flag, but don't. It was like every play, in the second half for sure. It was like every play on either team. Yeah. If they had any kind of a game, you just looked around to make sure, is there going to be a flag? Because they had to be holding if they got 12 yards.
I knew it was going to be a tough night. The very first play of the game, they go in motion with a receiver that's off the line of scrimmage. They go in motion. Well, he falls forward. He mistimed the snap count. And so he's falling forward. I thought his head actually crossed, the neutral zone, but he goes forward, which is illegal. And I thought he crossed the neutral zone the ball anyway. And I'm like, there's 2 penalties the guy should have called first play of the game from the side judge. And I was like, this is going to be a tough night. It's going to be a tough night.
The side judge on their side over there was definitely influenced a couple of times where it was, you go back and watch the film and it's definitely blatantly honest because he's getting an earful and all of a sudden that next play, son, it came out like clockwork.
I'm not a guy that tries to get calls. I really don't want to talk to the refs the whole game. Like if everything's going smooth and I don't see any errant call, I'll go 4 quarters and won't say a word to the ref. And
they were bad that night.
I wish the refs would like me because I don't say anything to them. I don't ever want to bother them. I'm never trying to get a call out of them except if I see an error call, and if I see it on the iPad and I see that they were errant with a call, then I'm going to go say, hey, you missed this call. Please,
next time,
understand. I'm not trying to bother you, but you missed this call.
That's right. But we do get to play Vade after that, and that was a dominating. Probably
one of the most
and
everybody knows if you're in the game, Vade they're down.
Right, they're down. I think a bunch of their kids even left. Maybe.
Yeah, I think they're just on hard times, and that's how I've heard it usually works. If Toombs is up, Vade is down. I can remember in early 2000, Vade and nobody wanted to play him. Nobody wanted to play him.
Vade was. They had I can remember even. It wasn't that long ago. It's been within the last 10 years. They had the kid that was the 5-star that ended up going to Georgia. He never really panned out up there, but that kid played running back and linebacker, and they were Final Four team every year back then. So. That was only 7-8 years ago. It wasn't. That's not ancient history, but they are down right now, and the tides will shift.
It always does.
Those lines about Austin Lowndes the same type way, but Toombs has got the momentum right now, and they're pretty dang good.
Yeah, they had a great year. They had a great year.
They did. So it was 41-0 here at the half at Vidalia. And then just kind of run the clock out the second half. Getting to plug in offensive linemen like you do from time to time to take snaps, which is
that's one of the funnest nights of the year. When you get to see the potbelly pigs run the ball.
And they all want to tell you how good they would be if they got the ball. So I'm glad they're getting the opportunity to coach.
That's right. So then into the playoffs, roll over Jackson at home, 56-0. It's supposed to be 49-0.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
But anyway, we did cross that magical threshold that night, Andrew.
Oh my God!
I might have gotten the score right again, but roll over them, and then we go up to Columbia to play a really athletic team, and
the refs. And I don't want to harp on this. I don't, but my God, if I thought the Appling game, the referees were questionable, that game right there that is as blatant as it has been to me in a long time, and it is not me being a Pierce homer, but I sat there and watched time after time the guy that was standing there around the huddle of the coaches right there, and they'd yell something out and he'd throw a flag.
Oh yeah,
that was the most taxing game as far as from that standpoint I've ever been in 26 years.
I've
never been in a game where from start to finish we dealt with so much.
Yeah.
But to not worry about that. That was one of the best football games we've played here in 6 years. One of the toughest games to win. They had a good team.
They did.
They had athletes. They would hit you.
They were athletic.
The quarterback was extremely athletic. Our kids played an unbelievable game. And during the game, we had to fight a lot of adversity. But you also had people going down first quarter. Jones Heron, who's your bell cow, all of a sudden, he's out of the game.
Yeah.
And Chance sprained his ankle, came back in. Joe got hurt during the game. He got hit dead in the ribs. He had bruised ribs. But he came out for us. So you're sitting there. Nigel's already out. Yeah, he's not even playing. So you get all these guys are getting hurt. Then you got to deal with some other issues we talked about. Well, we couldn't run the ball to their sideline. Every time we ran to their sideline, we'd get a holding call.
Every single time.
We can't run to their sideline, but we want to run to our right because of some matchups we got, but you can't run it. It's a penalty.
Every single time.
So when the field flips quarter-wise, then all of a sudden, if you notice, we just, on the right side, we just walk right down the field. But we couldn't run it to their sideline because that official was just every time to be
It was
holding.
every single time.
I mean, one time TK literally missed his block, and we get a holding. And I'm like, what number? 55. We're like, 55.
55 just
touch anybody.
Right now, 55 can't block the sun out of his eyes. I mean, it wasn't 55, but anyway, that game was. But we had all that to deal with, and people were getting hurt during the game coming out. I was as proud of those guys, our players and coaches, that game, just about as I've ever been. Because it was a tough environment going up there. You don't have stands on your side, so we're sitting in silence over here. You're dealing with all these things, long ride, just everything you think of. It was a weird locker room. We were underneath the stadium, like this. You're sitting there getting dressed underneath the stadium in a little box. It was freezing cold, too.
Yes.
It was a freezing cold night. But, man, I just want everybody to know that was an unbelievable night for Pierce County football. Our players and coaches, they did an unbelievable job that a lot of people probably have forgotten about already and will forget about. But I'll never forget that night. That was one of the best wins I've ever been a part of.
It was there was a ton of adversity that night. So to come away, that was one of those type deal where years past, those Pierce County teams, we fold off into the second round there, and we take our L, and we're playing basketball the next week. That was when you battle through that. It was definitely
to face that kind of adversity and walk away with a win is when I really started to double down. Like, we got a real legit shot to win this thing. If those kids can face that and come away from there, but it ended up being so taxing on us health wise that I think that just bled over into
during that time of the year. It's always you got to have a little luck.
Yeah,
and
you got to be healthy. And you got to be lucky.
Yep, and this year the health part. We really got hit with it towards the end of the season, especially when you have to start getting healthy. We started getting the little injury bugs.
We've been so fortunate and avoided that. Every year that I've been here, we've just kind of avoided it. We've been blessed, lucky, whatever. And this year, we had more injuries this year than we've had the previous 5 years. And that, we get to the next round, we get to Carver Columbus, and, you're having to play pups in the secondary, and
I guess quarterback who was pretty dang good.
Really good receivers, biggest O-line in the state. They averaged 305, but I think Caden against Carver, he rushed for 275.
I was going to say
he rushed for 275, and he was injured.
Well, that's what I was just about.
He didn't throw a ball during the week. He couldn't raise his arm.
I've made this comment, and I said I don't know. I would like to play that team again. I don't know if we go out there and beat them, but if we have a healthy Nigel, and Joe was banged up, whether he wants to talk about it or not, I could just watch how he was running. It was labored because
he had bruised ribs. Now, he toughed it out.
Healthy Joe, I don't know if he locks down that kid, because that kid that was on his side that night was pretty dang good. But it's a lot different matchup if Joe's healthy and if Nigel's on the other side healthy. Because we got to their quarterback, that joker would lollygag 3 steps back and kind of just throw a little lollipop out route, and it was on the dime every single time.
Yeah.
But
he put it on money.
Would have loved to have played them again, because
if we're healthy,
it's a lot closer.
If we're healthy, that's a 21-14 game.
Either way. Because they stacked the box that night because they knew what was coming. They knew he couldn't throw it. They figured out he couldn't throw it pretty quick. It was like it might have been the second drive of the game where we had that little sniffer pop pass type deal, and he did one of those numbers. I said,
that was a touchdown.
Yes, it was.
If he's got if he's got a healthy shoulder, they're just 11 guys are playing the run. We got to hit this. We got to hit. You're gonna have to hit some of these things. That's a touchdown. Anyway, at the very worst, it should have been 17-14 at half, but it really shouldn't have been that much. But if we're healthy on the back end, because we're going to stop the run. I think they rushed for 49 yards. That was a quarterback keeping it on the back door on his own. Jones just went blind for a second, and then a quarterback scramble. they had 2 runs the whole game.
That's what I'm saying.
Now ended up being like 40-something yards. So they rushed for 40-something yards. Well, every other game they're rushing for 250 plus. You know, so we could stop the run. We just had people back there in secondary that were injured, or we hadn't really
had the reps.
Hadn't had reps all year long. You were
That's
talking about JV guys that are going to be good players.
They are.
But if you notice, all of a sudden they figured it out.
Yeah. They started.
And next thing you know,
it was every single pass.
They're just throwing the ball, and that really wasn't their MO. They were a running team. A lot of people don't realize that. If you just saw our game, you'll think, hey, they're airing out,
right?
You know, whatever. But they're not.
I made the comment, and I said they're not going to run on us. I said, and I watched a few of their bits and pieces here, and the quarterback never impressed me. And I told my dad, and this is how little film I did watch, but I said we're going to beat this team. I said that nobody's running against us, and he said, oh, blah, blah, blah. And he hadn't watched any of it. He's just like, they're good, Andrew. He hadn't watched a down of their game. And I was like, I'm telling you, blah, blah. And then their quarterback comes out, and they figured it out pretty quick. But they ran a little 3-tree route, and it was an out route, a corner route, and they just started running to the same side. And that kid would I'll give him credit, the Joker, he would be falling back, on his back leg, and he'd just kind of flick it out there, and they'd catch it. And they were
but they didn't have to do much to throw and catch those balls. I mean, but if we're healthy, it's about a 21-14 game, and it could go either way. You know what I mean? If Caden rushed for 275 injured, and generally we win those games.
One-dimensional.
We've always won those games, but we're beat up. We got the wrong guys beat up, wrong guys out, and it got away from us. But they did have a great team, they've got great athletes. Yeah. They did a good job coaching, but they were a running team all the games prior. And actually, when we were looking at them, on Sunday and Saturday night, when I started looking at them, all night Sunday, we matched up better with them than we did Columbia. Because Columbia had a true dual threat quarterback, and this guy really wasn't a runner. He could run a little bit, but he wasn't a dual threat quarterback. Well, so we thought, we said if we were just healthy, Columbia's a tougher game to win than Carver Columbus. Not taking anything away from, but Columbia had a good team too. But we went down and just being shorthanded on defense, being a little bit left-handed on offense, But for some of those guys to play like Cade, when you have a dead shoulder, and literally I knew 95% of the kids in America, especially quarterbacks, on Monday, if they have a dead arm, they're not playing on Friday. I was just
going to say, they're checked out.
Okay, they're not playing on Friday. Yeah. Well, there was never a doubt in my mind that he was going to play on Friday. I didn't have to go say, hey, I need you to play Friday. Right. Hey, if there's any way possible, man, we need you. Now, I have to say that to kids sometimes.
That's right.
If they're really not injured, but I wasn't even worried. Right. I knew he was going to play.
It probably never crossed his mind that he wasn't going to play on Friday night either.
I mean, you could cut 2 of his fingers off, and he's going to play. Right. So
tape it up and give me a shot, Coach.
But Jones had a good concussion. On the previous Friday night. Right. Of course, he didn't participate in practice. You got the rules you got to follow. So you had him. Joe was banged up. He couldn't do a lot of stuff. Yep. Nigel's out. Chance didn't practice all week either. By the way, Chance didn't practice one day.
Yeah,
he
was beat up
Friday night. I knew he was going to play because the kind of kid he is.
That's right.
And this goes back to parenting. You know what I mean? Like if you know his dad. If you ask his dad if his ball's sticking out, can he play? Oh yeah, he can play.
He's fine.
I mean,
he was the same way with Cody.
Caden's mother. Oh, he's going to be fine. That's just that's what gives us a chance though. We're built different.
Well, heck, I saw Brian at Flash, and I said, how's Jones? Oh, he'll be playing Friday night.
Oh yeah,
Jones didn't know where he was at this past Friday, but okay.
I mean, we're built different. We work different.
That's right.
We should act different. That causes us to play different.
Well, you can tell.
I mean, I don't have some magic wand that's making Caden tough and making Jones tough. Those kids are tough. Yeah. They're raised You know what I mean? That's just
That's right.
It's inside them. It's their DNA. I didn't put that in them. Carson Sloan, for him to play every snap in the state championship game, have to make tackles all night long, get sacks, catch touchdowns,
Drive
block.
the bus home.
You know, I didn't put any of that DNA in Carson. You know what I mean? So you win with people. You win with people. You don't win because your head coach is some genius. There's no genius. There's no geniuses out there. There's good coaches that do things well, but there's like the 20 championship, the 23 championship. That wasn't because I've got a magic wand or I'm some great coach. Now, I do got great players though. Hey,
He doesn't give himself enough credit.
I do have great players though. And when you have great players, you know what? Usually you win.
I was going to say, you like to say after every game that all the credit goes to the players, all the glory goes to God,
right.
but the majority of the credit might go to the players, but Coach Herron and staff gets a lot of the credit too.
I was just about to say,
He sells
28
himself
miles
short
that
here.
way. That's a great looking bunch of athletes every single year. And I've looked in their trophy case and hadn't found the football state championship, Coach. So it does have to do with the kids, and but there's a lot that falls back on you and the staff.
But
so,
we, like he just said though, I 100% believe it. All the credit goes to the players. I've never made a tackle. Our coaches have never made a tackle. But our players have made a lot of them.
Y'all get them in the right spot.
So all the credit goes to the players, but more importantly, all the glory goes to God.
that's right.
We're not breathing. We're not sitting here right now. I'm not talking to you. This earth isn't here. He created everything, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about science or we're talking about football. All glory goes to God, and that's how we're going to live, and that's what we're going to believe, and that's another thing that makes us different.
Right. Just about to say, you don't hear many coaches saying that either. So that's.
I will say another big one that we appreciate you for, and we talked about it on here before, probably, and there may be, but not many coaches that have kids on their football team that are in a small group, leading them to follow Christ, like you guys are doing. So, to get that and to get a winning football program, man, we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you. And this past season,
staff is-
we may not have won it all, but it's one of the most memorable years for me.
Well,
the kids were spectacular.
That's the thing,
Spectacular
when
run.
once you win a state championship, the bar is set.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you want. That's what I want. That's what you want. That's what fans want. That's what players want. But you're not going to win it every year. But you do go after it. Whether you win or not, you're still going after it. You know what I mean? If me and you are going to box, but I know you're a real good boxer, do I go in there and I just hold my face out and let you hit me?
knocked out.
I'm still going to swing at you, even though you may be really, really good. I'm going to try. But another thing is people don't think about is especially with coaches is we got to have great wives. Like I have a extremely special wife.
We are so grateful for her because you wouldn't be here probably without Maggie. Maggie, we love you and for bringing this
I may
guy
not be
back
alive
here.
if it wasn't for her. And she may also be the reason I die. Who knows? But she has to raise our kids all fall, and it's been like that since since we had Caroline, and then we've got two boys too. She's had to raise them. I'm not at home in the fall. And so, and not as many people work or as much as we do per se, but being a coach's wife, that's one of the toughest jobs there is. Now I don't imagine being Kirby's wife is that bad of a job. If you make $11 million, your wife she can find things to do. She can find things to do. Well, I don't
buy some happiness.
I don't make $11 million, so Maggie's in the kitchen doing oatmeal.
Right. Kirby's wife's probably got somebody cooking for her.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she doesn't know if he's there or not.
That's right.
She doesn't know if he's there or not.
Saban's wife she makes her own empire in real estate.
Well, Saban's wife's always smiling. I wonder why.
Again, though, congratulations on a spectacular year. It really was. Of course, we want to win it all, but it was a phenomenal season, and Love pretty much every minute of it, other than I wish we would have been healthy for that last game. Going forward, and it's way too early to preview next season, but I asked you before about the offensive scheme. Of course, we're losing Caden, so we're losing a big piece of what we do there. Are we going to continue to see the same thing? I mean, Javion, I guess, going to step in, fulfill some of that role. I miss seeing Ja run it some, and I don't know what the issue is there. But the previous year, he had some big games back there taking snaps. And I mean, if that Joker sees daylight,
Ja's the best athlete.
He's gone.
It's just we got to keep Ja healthy.
Yeah,
as far as when he's healthy, linear speed wise, I mean,
he looks good in pads. That Joker.
Yeah, he does.
I hope Ja gets this next year and he stays healthy the whole year. That would be a blessing because the Joker, when he's on the field, he's pretty dang special.
Yeah.
I mean, he really can run. He's built.
I was just about to say, you look at him in pads and you sit there and you say, that kid's probably got a chance to go play D1 football.
Yeah.
Just you look you look at kids and he's got that combine look where you sit there and he's fast. He looks like he's about 6'2".
Well, previous year we're comparing him to DJ Bell, except faster. It's what he looked like. I mean, during some of those games. So
that was
when you start making statements like that, and then we didn't really see him this year taking the snaps. Of course, I mean, we got Cade McGaffey. We got Javion back there. We got Marquette. We got plenty of guys that can do it. So, are we going to see that same type thing going forward? Is that what you're anticipating?
Well, every offseason, you got to, like, this isn't Georgia where we're signing these kids and all this, or we don't have a portal. I mean, like, it may be weird to think, but like, right now I'm trying to find out who's going to be playing next year.
Yeah.
Who can we trust? Who's working hard right now? Like right now, the biggest thing on my radar is the state weight meet March 1st. Yeah. I want to go win it. I want to win it for the third year in a row. I want our kids to win it for the third year in a row. We're focused on just strength right now.
Right.
We do basic, speed work, basic jump and plyo stuff. But right now, really, we're just strength. We're in a strength phase. That's all that matters right now is take one day at a time. And then as we get to February to March, April, we'll kind of see who's going to stick around. Who's going to, because what we do is different. Like most schools, they already know who's going to be.
Yeah.
If he's coming back, he's going to be the tailback. He's going to be the receiver. He's going to be a tight end. He's going to be, the way we work, you got to get through this. You got to get through the winter and the spring. I don't sit here and count my chickens before they hatch. Offensively, I'll always have that big bear package in. I mean, if I went to Georgia, I'd have it in. It may just be short yardage
we needed
or
it
something. But I'm always going to keep that in. The thing that fans don't realize is what's important is defense.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know about offense. We're going to run Big Bear. What, are we going to do anything different?
Yeah.
What you need to ask is, what are we going to do? Are we going to change defense? Who's going to be this? Who's going to be that?
We know
that's where we're going to win.
That's a given, coach.
We know you're going to shut them down.
Hey,
we're shut down the run.
We need to worry about defense. You got to build your defense first.
Ryan Herron is going to run the football.
He's going to
play defense.
And if that's not happening, it may not be me. It could be AI. It could be some type of clone.
If we come out 5 wide and we start running
well, he'll do that in the first scrimmage game,
But if we start doing something crazy on defense, I'm gonna say, who we got back there with the clipboard?
Now with all this the alien stuff that's come out that everybody knows about now, knows that we have them here, we have their aircraft, we have all this. Who knows?
Might not be.
Who knows? Who knows? Who'll be the guy out there?
If we aren't playing defense, I know who it's not.
Yeah, that's right. We'll know they've captured somebody. That's right. Well, we appreciate you. We won't hold you up anymore. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate all that you do.
And I wish I had time to sit here to tell you, thank everybody.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people in this community. Guys like the Russell family, they built that big horn. They've probably got $10,000 into that thing. They take it to games, haul it to games. What do they get in return? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They love it. Is what they return.
Yeah. But you got guys like Austin Moore. I'm just thinking of people who love Pierce County, like Like, some people do their fighting on Facebook. Some people do it. Some people do it in the stands. Some people do it on the field. But we got so many people that give and that love Pierce County. I think that's what's different. The biggest thing is you got more people, more good people that care.
There you go.
You know what I mean? You got good people. Like, there's probably a lot of good people that live in Brantley County.
Right.
But how many of them really care about Brantley County football?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, you're going to be at every game.
Every one of them.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're in town, you're going to be at every game. Miss Marilyn is
she's going to be at every game because she's calling Joey on Tuesdays. Are you going to be able to take me to the games this Friday? Yes, ma'am. Unless something happens between now and Friday, but yes. So there are a ton of good folks.
And when we lose a game, it hurts.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
everybody's put so much into it. And supports our players so much that when we lose a game, it hurts everybody. My son, who's in 7th grade, when we lose a game, he's crying as hard as any player.
Yeah.
Because he loves those boys.
Right.
Those boys are good to him.
And he knows what they put into it.
He knows what they put
all
into
the work.
Yeah. I mean, it when you put a lot into something, it hurts to lose it.
That's what I was just about to say.
And that's what makes us different.
Well, when the third round is a down year, I like the direction that the program's going. So we're glad that you're at the helm, and look forward to a 2025 season similar to the ones we've had.
Well,
in the last couple of years.
So far, the guys are working hard.
All we can ask.
I've been happy with them. They're working. So we just got to do that one day at a time. We just got to work the this year there'll be a little more of rebuilding spots. We lost every linebacker, lost all but one offensive lineman.
Multiple year starters.
So we got to find the puzzle pieces, and then at some point, hopefully by June and July, we start trying to, or feel like we're putting the puzzle together. So I couldn't sit here and tell you exactly what we're going to do. I mean, I'd love to run a 3-4 no matter what on defense, but if the personnel doesn't, if you don't have 4 linebackers, especially outside linebackers, you can't run a 3-4. If you just put anybody out there and say this is what we run no matter what, you're going to lose 5 or 6 games. So, there's a lot of introspection and looking at stuff that we got to do. But we do have some good players back.
That's right.
Don't get me wrong. If we can stay healthy on the back end, we ought to be good on the back end. Whether whatever coverage we're in, we ought to be good on the back end if we're healthy.
I think the line's going to take a big step this year. We were young on the offensive line this past year. I felt like.
Well, we were first year starters, not young.
Okay, but
so we got TK's on one back.
Okay. So we got a bunch of people.
And so you'll have a brand new offensive line. You lost 2 of your D linemen, which is we were a 3-man front, but you lost every linebacker.
Every linebacker.
Yeah. And there's a lot there. Well, there's a lot in our defense. There's a lot of hats the linebackers have to wear, especially the outside linebackers. They got to wear a lot of hats. I joked with Coach Morris after the season one day. I said, since we're going to have to rebuild the linebackers, I don't want you taking off on me now.
Are we getting some of those guys? Are all of those guys that were a part of the middle school championship run that beat Ware County? Did that translate over into them?
Yep, most of those guys. Some of those guys are not playing, but most of those guys. A lot of those 10th graders are going to have to play this year. Mm-hmm. There's a bottom line. I mean, we're going to have to play a lot of 10th graders in probably some key spots. So there'll be a lot of learning.
Some growing pains.
There'll be growing pains. I mean, they'll be.
But that's
learning.
A good group of kids.
But that is a good group.
Yeah. They were used to a lot of winning,
and they've got good parents.
That's just what I was about
to say. I think there's a lot of parental support in that group that. With expectations, and they're used to winning. The big thing is, just like for anything and everything, we're still going to have to expect to work.
Yeah.
You don't expect to win if you don't expect to work. It's always expect to work before you expect to win.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're going to get their opportunity to work.
Yeah.
So,
I could have.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by, taking your time out of your day to be a part of it. So thank you for all you and your staff do for us. And as always,
go Bears.
Love you,
Pierce
Bears
County.